What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today, we're doing UFC 325 predictions. I'm so excited. Last weekend was so awesome. Getting off break, having UFC 324. And we did go 7-4 on picks. So, it's okay. It's better than I expected, actually. If Freeman didn't give up in the ring versus Josh Hokett, maybe it could have been 8-3, but neither here nor there. Let's jump straight into it. Before we do, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps the videos out, and yeah, it gets it to more people. So yeah, I love talking about this, and I'd love to have more people see it. So let's get right into it. Let's start off. I will not be covering any of these four fights. They are all people from Road to the UFC, which airs at like 3 in the morning, and I've never seen it, so I don't know who any of these guys are, unfortunately. But let's kick it off with Khan Offley versus Yiza. And yeah, I think this is going to be a, a decision. I think it's going to be a bit of a lackluster fight. It's not going to be as fantastic, as interesting as some of the early prelim fights were for UFC 324. But I think Yiza is going to throw more and sort of be more on his front foot and push forward a lot more than Offley is. So, yeah, I'm calling Yiza by decision here. I just like the guy. I like the style of him. Kind of reminds me of a Kyoji Horiguchi in look and just in style. But yeah, next up we got Jonathan Mikalev versus Oban Elliott. Dude, this dude looks evil, man. It's kind of funny looking. He looks so evil, like a 90s horror villain or like movie villain. But yeah, in this one I think we're definitely going to see some good scrambles, some good wrestling technique. I don't think we're going to see Mikalev pull off a sub like he did in his debut, where he gets the triangle and the guy just goes straight to sleep. But I do think we're going to see some nice scrambles, like I said. And I think Mikalev has a lot more weapons on the feet. So I think this goes to another decision, but I think Mikalev just has more tools to do more in this fight than Oban Elliott. So I'm calling Mikalev by decision. Oh, I just don't understand weight classes sometimes, man. How how are these dudes the same weight? How does this dude weigh 10 more pounds than this dude? This is a middleweight belt, bro. Why are you 10 over? But yeah, I think Torres Finney is just gonna mob this dude real badly. He's got 7 knockouts. I think he's gonna add an eighth. Just absolutely smoke Malkoun in either the first or second round. And yeah, I don't think this is quite going to be the level of fraud check that we saw from Tebo Gautier, where we see these guys not be able to finish fights because they're not quite good enough. I still think this is Jacob Malkoun is not the level of opponent where you see him kind of start to survive into those later rounds and get the chance to fight back. So yeah, Finney by round 1 or 2 KO, clean KO too, I think. And then we have Rouston versus Brundage. I'm picking Cam Rouston, I think, to win. But yeah, I think this also goes to a decision. I'm feeling these prelims are not going to be as shocking. We see a lot of first round finishes for Cam Rouston, but I just don't see it here. Cody Cody Brundage has kind of been around the block in that regard. I think he's a seasoned enough veteran to not get himself finished real quickly. So I think he's gonna cockroach Max a little bit, kind of live on a little longer than you think he might in this fight. So yeah, we're gonna call Rouston by decision. And then the final fight on the prelims, we have Junior Tuffa versus Billy Elikana. I had to go into the TikTok depths for this one. And I just have to say I am a Billy Elicana fan now. But mainly I also just I cannot bet on a Tafa brother in 2025. I don't know why. It doesn't feel right. The guy is 6-4, and I don't think he's got it. I think we see a KO by Billy Elicana. He's got slick hands, and we saw in his last fight he was just a clean right hook, and it just sent his last opponent out cold. And I think we see something similar to that. He's a little bit better conditioned, a little bit better shape than Junior Tuffa. So I think, yeah, I think this one does not see the bell. All right, guys, we are back. Made it through the entire recording, recorded the entire card, early prelims to main card. Realized my mic was dead for the entirety of the main card section. So here we are. We're back talking about it again. Give me a chance to re-articulate my thoughts. You can't open this fight on UFC.com. I don't know why, but I love me some Quill and Sal killed, and you know, Jamie Malarkey is just kind of one of those guys that when you're on a hype train on a hype streak, you just get fed to. They just kind of get sent away, and I think Quill and Sal killed is that guy. I think we are going to see another knockout from him. Obviously, he sent Anshul Jubilee and Nazrat to the Shadow Realm. And the Nazrat one was arguably knockout of the year, in my opinion. I love that knockout so much. But yeah, I think we're going to see Quillen Salkild put his hands on Jamie Malarkey. He's got the nice boxing, the nice striking. It's really clean, really fun to watch. And yeah, I'll be excited to see this guy on the main card on the what is it on the press conference because this guy he's really funny. Love to see him talk. So next up, we have Tai Tuivasa, Tai Tui the Shui Vasa versus Taliesin Teixeira. I think I think this one kind of just boils down to Tuivasa getting pieced up at range, just not being able to get anywhere close to Taliesin Teixeira. Because look at the height, look at the reach and height advantages in this one. It's kind of crazy to be 6'7" versus 6'2" in a heavyweight fight is just it's crazy. And Tai Tuivasa's always had weight problems. I feel like he's always had cardio problems. So I feel like if this fight is still going on by the second round, we're gonna see Teixeira just be able to just keep flicking up the jab, keep throwing the right, and you know just keep landing. And I don't think a tired Tuivasa will be able to do anything about that. So I think it's terrible to say, but it's very fence sittery, but I think it's either an early knockout for Teixeira or a late round decision for him. I just don't think Tuivasa has this in the bag at all. Fiziev versus Rufi is very interesting because when I reacted to this fight being announced, I was a bit of a hater towards both of these guys. I don't know why. I think I was just a little upset that night. This will be a good fight. Obviously, I predicted that Mauricio Rufy wasn't going to get a win in 2026. I don't know how I feel about that now. Obviously, we see Rufy switched from the Fighting Nerds to going over to CKB. He now trains with Volk at City Kickboxing. That's actually pretty big. I feel like that kind of changes how you look at him. Obviously, there's still the kickboxing element, but I feel like they definitely train grappling there better than they do with the Fighting Nerds. So maybe he won't just get handled by all of his opponents, but I still think that Fiziev has been in there with just much better competition, meaning Justin Gaethje, and he's lived it twice. So I think we're gonna see Fiziev hit Rufy with some crazy work. I don't think this fight ends early. I think it goes the distance because I think it's just going to be a kind of back and forth thing of both of these guys getting to show out in the strike and getting turns to land some heavy hits. But I don't think we're going to see a finish out of either of these guys. But I think Fiziev gets the nod there, just being a little better. It's kind of crazy how much of a reach advantage Rufy has in this, but I don't see the Brazilian Conor McGregor comparisons. I mean, I get it, but I just think Fiziev gets away with this. Another fight that I pre-reacted to and I said would end in would end with one of these guys dying, and I think Dan Hooker does kind of die in this. You know, I do like Benoit Saint Denis. I think he's a very good fighter. I think Dan Hooker's very good too, but I think there's nowhere that Dan Hooker can bring this fight anywhere in the octagon, on the ground, on the feet, in the clinch, that Benoit is not either more comfortable or just better off doing. Obviously, we saw Dan Hooker kind of just get wrestle fucked by Armin Sarukian, and there was the comment by Paddy Pimblett about his grappling, but we won't bring that up again. So I think if this fight does touch the ground, which Dan Hooker may want it to, or Benoit Saint Denis may want it to, I think Benoit just kind of holds him down and messes up Dan Hooker, kind of like Armin did. I feel like he's got that same ability to land heavy ground and pound shots and really be strong on the ground. So I think we'll either see a ground and pound TKO by Benoit or honestly maybe a submission in this fight. I think either of those are possible. But on to the long awaited main event that I am so scared to talk about. Obviously, I got the last main event wrong. I thought Paddy Pimblett would kind of fluke Justin Gaethje in those later rounds. Obviously, we didn't see that happen, but it's really tough to pick this fight again. Obviously, we saw Volk run away with the last fight, and he did kind of dominate Diego Lopez, but Diego Lopez came off a win against Gene Silva, who I feel like is a similar shape and size to Volk, but obviously they do very different things. You're never going to see Volk run straight into a spinning elbow, but just some of the shots we saw Diego Lopez absorb is really crazy to think about. There was a couple elbows, one front kick that just landed square in the jaw and it just didn't affect him. So it's kind of just hard to think about the fact that whatever Volk throws is he's not going to be able to get rid of this guy. He's not going to be able to wobble him or hurt him as much as you want to sort of be able to pacify this guy. But with that, I actually just changed my prediction mid thought process. I do think Volk wins this. He said he's not retiring. He said he wants to keep fighting. I think he does win this fight. I think he uses his slicker style of striking. He really uses that jab. And yeah, I think he can land the takedowns, beat Lopez up on the ground like last fight. I think it'll go to a decision again. I just think it'll be closer, and there will be the argument for Diego Lopez in this fight because I do think Volk will have lost a step, but not enough of a step to, you know, change him from being the greatest featherweight of all time, one of the greatest game planners, one of the greatest preparers for these fights. So I think whatever changes Diego Lopez makes, Volk will be ready for. So I'm going to call it Volk again by decision, maybe 48-47. I think it'll be really close this time, you know? But yeah, that's about it. That's my thoughts on the main event. That's honestly, it's kind of a bad card. I can't lie. These Australia cards are always kind of weak and kind of filled with a bunch of regional guys. And but just having the all the road to the UFC fighters on this, you're telling me we couldn't put a couple, maybe two of these fights on the last Paramount card and then have some better ones on this one? Because there's essentially no reason to watch the prelims unless you really care about this fight, the early prelims at least. And then without like Torres Finney or Junior Tafa being on here, the prelims aren't that good. Without Quillen Salkill being as big as he is, this is a terrible main card fight, you know? And I feel like it's like if we see someone pull out of this fight, or maybe one injury on either this early prelims or this prelims fight, it becomes a really bad card where you're really waiting for the top four fights, which isn't what we want after we just convinced everyone to start watching the sport after a strong UFC 324 card. But that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the strength of this card. But yeah, that's my picks for this fight. Hopefully we do a little better than last time. Hopefully we don't get four fights wrong. That's unfortunate, but yeah, I'll catch y'all next time. Maybe a press conference video if there's anything fun going on. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to leave a comment, like, subscribe, help the video out. I love y'all, and I will see you this weekend.